Oh, hi. This is Rosie Bird's, welcome to Rosie Bird's site. This is Rosie Bird's handyman, Ed, and today is a big day for the birds here behind me because today is the day they get a nest box. And they've been telling us for several weeks, we want a nest box. So that's what we're going to do. Now, let's just take a minute or two to look at the nest box, just a real quick overview. If you notice, this nest box has a hole on one side. This is the entry hole, of course, and these both have it on the center. So when you're planning, you naturally want to plan for one that will adapt itself well to give you access and when the bird is in the nest and when the babies are hatching and so on and so forth. If you'll notice on the cage behind me, we have a strip of duct tape here. It was put on last year when the box came off. Just put ducts, we cut these bars, I guess I should explain that. We cut these bars to allow access to the box. And then when they're finished with the laying for the season, we put the duct tape up there, obviously, to make it secure. So a box will go here, a box will go there, a box will go in between the cages, and last but not least, Songster and Blossom get their box over here in this corner. Now, this is what I was saying about that. If you notice, when we take this and rotate it, that's going to put the entry hole on this far end, which is what we want to do. A closer look at the box, and these boxes are not new. They've been used for several years, but you know, they last. The lid is hinged, of course, and here on the inside, if you notice, we have a perch. Now, the perch comes through the box and extends in. This facilitates Daddy Bird landing up here, and Mama Bird, who is in there with her eggs, will come up to this side, and he will lean in or she will lean out, and he will feed her. So that extra perch length, if you want to call it that, is very important for their processing. Now also, we have some pine bedding, brand new bag, and that will go in the bottom of the cage. That will absorb any moisture from droppings and so forth while particularly the babies are in there. It also provides a soft basis in the bottom for the babies, the eggs even, to lay in. Now, that's just a quick overview of the nest box. If you are interested in more information, Rosie Bird's Guide to Small Exotic Birds is going to be coming out very soon. That's what the cover will look like. And in there, there's an entire chapter devoted to building the nest box with dimensions, details, sizes, everything that you need to know. There's also a way to turn these into an incubator, but that's for another day. Right now, I'm going to gather my tools, and I'm going to go over here and take care of Songster and Blossom. Tools are rather basic, an X-Acto knife, and some of these little light plastic cable ties. If you notice, the box has, maybe you didn't, they're hard to see, but the box has holes across the top. We'll use 3, maybe 4 of those holes to loop through there and then loop through the top of the cage. And one other thing that I would point out to you, putting this nest box on the front of the cage And of course it's cantilevered out here. That puts a force pulling to tip the cage. One of the things that we do, they're not terribly visible, but we put underneath here, we put magazines. Not real thick, but just a little bit to give the cage a slight tilt backwards, which then offsets that force. Okay, our home, as we saw just a moment ago, is clean and ready to accept the nest box, I'm sorry. And here we are. We've got our box. Now we're going to put some of the pine shavings that I talked about earlier in. And this can be a little bit messy because they're really stuck in there tight and they don't want to come apart all the time, but we'll get them. Just get a nice handful here. About 2 inches deep, I think, is what I'd like to get. So I will just dump it in there until it looks like it's about right. And then I'll go in there and break up any lumps we got, and presto changeo, they have a nice, soft, cushiony pine shaving base in their nest box to be. I always like to run my hands just through things. Occasionally you get a, I don't want to call it a splinter, but there can be a little stiff piece of pine that went through the chopper kind of crossways or whatever. It was having a bad day maybe, but we'll just give it a good check just to be sure for the bird's sake. And when we're happy with that, we will close him up. We've got our cable ties that I spoke of earlier, and they're going to go right through here, and then I'm going to take it over and put it on. So we just cut down this side with our X-Acto blade. At least that's the theory. There we are. Okay. And so that's got that side, and now this side. Easier to stick in the middle and work down. Just like that. And now this should come right out. And indeed it does. This bottom piece is just to protect the birds, since the perch will be resting right here. There's a possibility that they may land on this or light on it as they're coming or going. And as you can see, there's a tiny, tiny bit of welded cage wire that's very difficult to get to come off when you're cutting it. So what I do to protect them is just cover this so that it's not open to them. So we're going to take these sides off and we'll be back in just a minute. So there we are. Just get that last little piece off that doesn't want to come, but it did. And there it's all cleaned up. The space is open, and now we are ready to give Blossom and Songster their nest box, which, as you can tell, she is eager to have. And if you notice, I've started my nest box. I have 2 plastic ties on, one on each end. And before I can even finish, our little bird is trying to get into the nest box. They have been very anxious and eager, and so you're going to have to wait, Mama, just a little bit longer, and I will be done, and I won't bother you afterwards, I promise. I have the 2 on. Now we're doing the 3rd, and as you saw, Mama is indeed very anxious. And so she's telling me to hurry up. and get this done. This is where a third hand is always helpful. If we can lift the box and keep it there, then you've got a little more slack in those ties. And if you've noticed, I haven't tightened them yet because two reasons. One, if we tighten them, then it makes it just that much harder to put this one on. And two, I want to be able to adjust it on the cage before I tighten it up and say, okay, that's it. And as you can see, this guy doesn't want to go in there. They never do for some reason. But hopefully we'll get it this time. Come on, you're the third one. The third one's the charm. Isn't that what they say? So, starting in, there we are. That's what I like to see. We'll just pull it down until it engages right there, and then we will stop on that one. And I'll get another tie and put the last one in. Okay. The birds are getting very, very nervous. They're getting very excited, and they're saying, why do you have to take so long? And that's because it just does. So that one went together very easily, he said, and then it wouldn't latch. Come on. As you can see, maybe, I don't know how, there we are. Now we're going to tighten that up a little. Okay, now I will straighten out my pine shavings. They got a little must in there. Okay, we've got our 4 ties in there. As you can see, they're loose and the box can flex, which we clearly don't want. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to tighten them like so. And if you notice, I'm getting the little doodad that links it up at the top, and I'll explain why in just a moment. This one is particularly difficult to put up because if you're right-handed like I am, it's hard to work over it. Now, if you're left-handed, this would probably be a good box for you. But as you can see, I'm using my left hand, and I'm just a little bit clumsy. So now we'll tighten that one. Each time we tighten, it gets just a little better. And they hold, and then you get another one. As I said, I'm pushing those guys back. Pull it forward, give it a tug, and move it back. And this one doesn't want it. Oh, lid slipped. If you notice, I've got 2 birds up here above me who are watching the process, and they know darn well what I'm doing, and they want one too. Now, the reason I put these up at the top rather than put them down there is so that the lid can close in front of them. If you notice that one, the top, those things are sticking out and it caught. So we have a solution to that. It's known as a nail clipper. So we will just come in and we will just clip that guy off. Now at the end of our breeding season, it can still be tightened. And guess what? I can use my right hand now. There we go. Look at that get tight. Yes. There's something to be said for using your dominant hand. So there we are. Going back to clipping. We've got, there's 2. There's number 3. And here's number 4. And as I started to say earlier, and didn't complete the thought, at the end of the season, which obviously is going to come eventually, it's simple, a very simple job, just to come in like that and clip, and that snips it in half. You go clip, 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 off comes the nest box, out comes the duct tape, and we're back where we were now this morning when we started with the duct tape up there covering the hole, which it will do again all winter. So there we are. Opens and closes nice and neat. As you can see, we have the hole right there. You can look right through into the cage. And as soon as I step away from this and leave them alone, I get the sense that Mama and Papa are going to come over here and check things out.